Welcome in. It is Game Time Decisions live on a Thursday night for 2 hours. I'm your host, Kevin Walsh, and we're live right here on SportsGrid. 2 hours because no football, no NFL action tonight. We have Saturday, of course, as well as Sunday, which, if you are looking for more from the Pro Football Today crew, we will be live Saturday morning, stepping in place of college football today from 9 to noon. Myself, Donnie Rightside, and Joe Lisi. Same start time on Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. right until kickoff for what, again, is a huge, huge weekend with the NFL's regular season coming to a close. But stepping up tonight, it's the NBA. Unfortunately, it's kind of a reminder, and we haven't seen this in a while, that this is a primetime NBA slate. We have just 2 games, but it's really hoops focused. We will talk to Joe Madden as well as Dave Sharapan to help us get some hockey picks on the board. But if we open it up here, you will notice again that the NBA is going to dominate the conversation here on a Thursday. Coach James Young will stop by in this opening hour to get his picks on the college side and, of course, the 2-pack of NBA action. It starts in San Antonio, where the Spurs are a double-digit favorite on the road, are a double-digit home dog to the Milwaukee Bucks in their own building. Big-time total checks in 248.5. Looks like a clean injury report tonight for Milwaukee. I wonder how much of that is the situation spot that the Bucks are in, which is losing not once but twice now to the Indiana Pacers in consecutive matchups. The Bucks, though, are on the second leg of a back-to-back. Factored into the line a bit. Is it factored in enough? I think it's a valid question. We will break that down. I'm involved in this game, certainly. Let's get our radio audience into the fold. Appreciate all those with us here across the SportsGrid network, including SiriusXM, channel 159. I'm Kevin Walsh with you right here on Game Time Decisions. Game number 2, it's Nuggets-Warriors. Golden State catching 4 at home. Total is 235. Steph Curry and the Dubs bounce back against the Orlando Magic in their last outing. Steph with 36 points absolutely gave the Warriors what they needed to snap a 3-game losing streak. Home again in a Christmas rematch on Christmas. Nikola Jokic, 18 free throw attempts. Steve Kerr making some comments, frustrated by that. How does the Joker respond? How do the Warriors respond defensively? All stuff we will dive into. But with primetime NBA action, you will see the markets react to these performances. So let's take a look at the NBA MVP as well as the NBA Rookie of the Year odds before tonight's slate. These games here certainly factoring in to those markets. And if we can start with the odds to win Rookie of the Year, of course, Victor Wembanyama in that race has really lost a lot, though, because of Chet Holmgren and just how good the Oklahoma City Thunder have been. The Thunder look at the moment, I know they lost last night to Atlanta, but the game prior beating the Boston Celtics, it was a huge game and another statement. Chet Holmgren is now a minus 250 favorite to win Rookie of the Year. The thing is, you look through it, if you bet them both, you're not making money. The idea in this race, Podziemski will play tonight for Golden State, right? The idea with this race is it is absolutely down to these two. And it would take injury, and those injuries would have to come soon. And we're not hoping, but that's just the reality, right? That is about the only way that it is not either Chet Holmgren or Victor Wembanyama winning Rookie of the Year. Where I think Chet's biggest advantages right now is he is on track to make an all-star team. No matter how much hype there is around Victor Wembanyama, or if people say, well, hold on, Vic's the best player on his team, his situational spot is not as ideal as Chet's. If we swap Chet and Vic, what would the results? Holmgren is going to make an all-star team as a rookie. He's going to win Rookie of the Year, and it is probably that simple. Now, again, San Antonio goes up against Milwaukee. We know Giannis is in the race. And then late night, Nikola Jokic, when we look at the league MVP odds, is in the mix. We did see Embiid go to the favorite off of a 51 performance against Minnesota. Then started to miss a couple of games, starting with that Christmas game in South Beach. Then Jokic jumped back up to the favorite. But these have been numbers that have continued to move around. Embiid's first game back against the Chicago Bulls on Tuesday, 30-point triple-double. I mean, he has been unreal this season, Joel Embiid. He absolutely has. He has been, I think, the best player in the league this season. The question around Embiid's candidacy, the obvious one is the games requirement, and if that is going to make a difference potentially here. But the other is, will the fact Embiid won the award last year work against him? Again, it'll be very interesting to see what happens to the media members who tied themselves into knots last year. Historically, we have seen guys win an MVP, be worthy the following season, but people say, you won it last year, your postseason performance wasn't good enough, you're not good enough to be a back-to-back MVP. We've seen that happen. But a lot of people last year were very, very angry when people were using that logic against Jokic winning a third in a row. Now, these same people are going to use that against Joel Embiid. Again, this is kind of the situation we work ourselves in. Some people wondering, we mentioned Chet Holmgren with the Thunder. Could SGA just blow that whole thing up and win on his own? Luka has been fabulous for Dallas, but without Kyrie, their record not as off to the good start. Now, they started out very hot regular season. Dallas would be pushing for a top 6 record in basketball, I believe, had Kyrie not picked up an injury. But you have to obviously give Luka Doncic some credit for that there, and that's why he sits in that 6-1. Here's why I don't see Giannis getting involved with the MVP race truly. Boston and Milwaukee were viewed entering the season close to equal. Boston a touch better as a team. If Boston runs and hides with the league's best record, I don't know if Giannis is going to be able to make that up statistically. The Bucks not being the best team in basketball, I don't know if that is acceptable for Giannis to try and win the MVP in the way that it's probably still seen as acceptable for Philly, definitely in Oklahoma City. Is it with Denver? Again, time will tell. College basketball tonight does feature some top 25 action. Arizona, Colorado, in my opinion, the best game. That's an 11-2 Buffs team, despite being unranked. That is top 25. In Ken Palm, Gonzaga looking to bounce back after they lost their last outing at home, mind you, to San Diego State, as well as Memphis going to Tulsa, and then JMU and their matchup against the Ragin' Cajuns. And for my quick pick tonight, I am going to go to the college basketball board, but we are going off the beaten path and into the Colonial. North Carolina A&T, Campbell, step on up. We're looking for an over. This is at 141. It jumped up almost immediately to 142.5. I have it at that number, so don't be shy on the movement. This North Carolina group, the Aggies, are the second fastest team that Campbell has played all season long to just Morgan State. That game flew. A&T is better than Morgan State offensively, worse defensively. We'll get some juice in the Colonial. We'll go through the hoops card next with you here on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
56% is really good. Anything close to 60 is retirement level stuff. So there's way more people on the lower side of that. You have to learn how to manage that. This is a game of give and take. I mean, or come in quick and hit them and get out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back,
The irony.
I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. and now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina, we've got new sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Well, they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College football today.
The Hawks team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro football today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all access.
In terms of these wild cards, and in terms of the playoff picture.
In-game live, prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense.
In-game live, overtime.
You want to give you over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. Yeah, that's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Back with you here on SportsGrid. I'm Kevin Walsh. It is a Thursday night with game time decisions. Again, the quick pick tonight comes from the Colonial with North Carolina A&T. The Aggies against the Campbell Fighting Camels there. That number's as high as 142.5, which is, again, actually the number I played it at. The 141 was 141. It jumped up. By the time I put it in, it was at 142.5. I forgot to change it. So if you see that, right, and you're like, oh, I didn't get it. No, you got the same number as me, so don't worry about it. You're all good. We might as well stick with the college game here tonight. There was a couple of interesting spots. Again, we mentioned Memphis and JMU. The Gonzaga bounce back is interesting. But Arizona and Colorado is the best game on the board for me, no doubt. A 9:30 tip out there in Arizona with the Wildcats laying double digits to the Buffs. Now, Colorado is, again, an 11-2 team that ranks top 25 on KenPom. Their losses this year, Florida State and then at Colorado State. If you look at Arizona, this is a 1-1 team who's lost to Purdue. They dropped a game to FAU by 1 in double OT, but then a stunning Stanford loss. And that is the game that they're coming off of. So I think that is impacting the line a little bit here, that Arizona at home, where they obviously have been very good, will step up and knock off Colorado. I think the line is a little tall, which helps me have a little bit more confidence in player prompts, just assuring we will avoid any type of monstrous routes in this game. This game also features a big-time total, as you would anticipate with an Arizona game, at 159.5. The guy who jumped off the page for me, though, was Kylan Boswell, the sophomore point guard for Arizona, who has very, very noticeable home road splits. This season at home, 12.7 points per game compared to 7 points per game on the road. His shooting percentage from the field is up 9 points. He is shooting double the percentage from three, 46% at home, 23.5% from three, and he shoots more per game at home as well. So that's not a scenario where the volume is dropping and the efficiency is rising. No, the volume's rising and the efficiency is rising. He also averages an extra assist per game at home this season. So that right away pushed me to Kylan Boswell's over of 17.5 points, rebounds, plus assists. Boswell is also in a bit of a bounce-back spot because he was atrocious against Stanford. 2 of 11 from the field, chipped in a nice 1 of 7 performance from three. Only scored 5 points, not a single rebound, and 5 assists in the matchup is passable, and certainly we would take that tonight, but overall was not good enough. He didn't do much in the victory against Cal. But where Boswell has been big for this team is against their big opponents. Call it 6, right? Ranked competition, Duke, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Purdue, and FAU. And then add in an Alabama team that despite being, 8-5, 9-5, you'll still featured inside the top 10 in KenPom. Trust me, that was a big game. And while Colorado, again, not currently ranked, this is a big game. It's an 11-2 basketball team, and Arizona is coming off of an 18-point deficit where they gave up 100 to Stanford. Boswell is 5-1 to the over, a 17.5 points, rebounds, and assist marker in those big games that I mentioned. 12, 8-5 against Duke, was short against Michigan State, gave you 10, 9, and 1 against Wisconsin. So we've seen Boswell really perform. Actually got home against Michigan State. It was against Purdue. He didn't have it. 15, 4-4 against Alabama, 12, 3-3 against FAU. So Boswell, for me, in a step-up spot tonight against Colorado is my favorite bet across any sport that we have going. For the NBA tonight, again, it's only 2 games for us to work with. You'll notice it's a lighter card. Look, I am not going to 4, 6, 7 plays on a 2-play NBA slate. We'll go through the hockey later on. But I looked at it. Nothing jumped out of sorts there. But we are involved in both of these games on the NBA slate. And it starts with Spurs-Bucks. And this game jumped off right away as a tough spot for Milwaukee. Milwaukee is on the second leg of a back-to-back, coming off of 2 consecutive losses. And now the idea is, are they going to get up to run San Antonio out of the gym, right? No injuries, Chris Middleton playing, Dame, Giannis, everybody out and available for Milwaukee. And they absolutely could run and hide in this matchup. They are currently 3-1 against the spread on the second leg of a back-to-back. Every game they've played, though, on the second leg of a back-to-back has gone to the over. They are, Milwaukee, only 3-5-1 against the number this season when they are playing after a loss. Those games, though, still 6-3 to the over, which means plenty of opponent team totals over. But there's also a very specific spot that I wanted to check because it made sense to me, and then the research came out and proved it to be true. Playing on the second leg of a back-to-back we know can be challenging. Playing on the second leg of a back-to-back after having to play the Indiana Pacers seems like a bit of a nightmare. With their pace, obviously, just scoring 142 points last night doesn't sound ideal. Well, we have seen 4 teams this season play the second leg of a back-to-back where the first leg was against Indiana. The opponent team total is 4-0 to the over. The over is hitting all of these games. We have seen teams go 1-3 against the spread in that spot. The Hornets gave up 124 to Dallas. They did cover as an 11.5-point dog. That's your cover, but that was the situation. The Sixers gave up 117 to Boston at home, catching 1.5. Hawks won but didn't cover against Brooklyn, gave up $145 in OT. It was 131 in regulation, so I don't think they stole that many points. And then the Rockets, a very good defense, gave up 129 to Phoenix. Teams are scoring 129 points per game in this spot. So a Spurs team total at 118.5, a number that they, by the way, went over already this year in Milwaukee, works absolutely perfect for me. I look at this game, I like the over, I like the Spurs plus the points. Those can't happen without 119 from San Antonio tonight. I know it's a lot, but it is a great spot for them here. And then lastly, I'm going to Nikola Jokic, and I'm taking his points over the 25.5. Jokic's last 3 games have been absolutely fascinating. He is 26 of 28 from the field. 26 of 28 from Nikola Jokic in his last 3 games. And while that is phenomenal, you are missing about 9 attempts per game from Jokic's usual workload. Against Memphis, it was 11 for 11. OKC, 9 of 10. And then Charlotte on Monday, it was 6 out of 7 from the field. One of the reasons I believe you are missing all of these is not just that Jokic is deferring, right? It is not that Jokic during this run is averaging 15 assists. He's actually averaging less than 10 in these last 3 games. It's the minutes. 30 minutes, 32 minutes, 28 minutes. Why? They're blowouts. Twice Denver was blowing out an opponent. The other time they got smashed by OKC. Average margin of victory in this 3-game window here for Jokic, for these Denver games, 27 points per game. These are routes. I don't think it's a rout tonight against Golden State. I think it's going to be a really good game between the Nuggets. I know they're favored, but they're laying 4 on the road against what is still, to me, a somewhat desperate Warriors team who saw this group on Christmas and they were able to hang around for a while. But what is also key is I do think the little extra motivation that Nikola Jokic should have coming off of the Christmas matchup. You know, we've heard Bam Adebayo talk on a Miami Heat podcast with Udonis Haslem and Mike Miller about how Jokic does not hunt fouls. And I think that's probably a bit of a veiled shot at Joel Embiid. And I don't think Jokic really hunts fouls in the same way. I think Golden State couldn't guard him, and he got 18 of them on Christmas. Well, you know what? Maybe Jokic goes into this game actually hunting fouls and shows Steve Kerr what that looks like, and Trace Jackson-Davis tonight gets to play about 5 minutes of basketball because while I like the player, that kid has as good a chance as me of guarding Nikola Jokic tonight. This is an easy 30-piece from Jokic if he wants it, and I think he does. Coach James Young up next.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
56% is really good. Anything close to 60 is retirement level stuff. So there's way more people on the lower side of that. You have to learn how to manage that. This is a game of give and take. I mean, or come in quick and hit them and get out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina, we've got new sports books operating for licenses, and you know, a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Well, they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College football today.
The Hawks team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro football today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all access.
The NFC in terms of these wild cards and in terms of the playoff picture.
In-game live, prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense.
In-game live, overtime.
You want to give you over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. You know, that's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Back with you here on SportsGrid. I'm Kevin Walsh. I'm joined by Coach James Young. JY, last time we talked, I do not know admittedly how your Wednesday went, but I know your Tuesday in the NBA was red hot with a 5-0 night.
Hey, Kato, it's good to be on with you. Listen, sometimes the blind squirrel gets a nut. Hey, this is what happens when you research your NBA and you do your stuff. Unlike, I'm going to just keep that between me and Kevin.
Now,
and
here's the problem with that, JY, though, right? We did have a head-to-head, though, that night. So is that a shot at me? You have to ask yourself.
No.
Can I just tell you this?
Another host.
I know it's not.
Host
No, I know it's not. I know it's stop. I know that you were on the over in the Thunder game. It got there, right? But if you told me, hey, here's what Boston scored, right? How do you feel about the bet? All good, because I thought Boston would win. And I am not saying that I'm going to take a January 2nd basketball game and make a sweeping thing against Boston. And that was just, for me, such a step-up spot. And they basically took off the third quarter. And give the Thunder credit. There's a lot of buzz around this basketball team, and rightfully so. SGA is working towards top 5 status. I don't know if he's there yet. There needs to be some postseason proof behind it. That's how this stuff works. People like to crown a lot of things before getting through certain hurdles, but he's working towards that status, no doubt about it. Chet Holmgren is all-star level. I like the Thunder. It's not that I'm not giving the Thunder credit, but JY, I was very disappointed in what the Boston Celtics brought to the table on that Tuesday matchup.
And this is the concern with the Celtics because they take possessions off, they take quarters off, they take games off, and it wasn't a good spot for a team that's considered to be the best team in the NBA because they just take time off, Kevin. And I just think when you look at Boston, and I think, to me, the problem with Boston is this. That game meant more to Oklahoma City as a young team on the come-up to me than it meant to Boston. And to me, Boston, a team that, let's be honest, Kevin, we have anointed them for how long now? 3 years? 4 years? And they've never gotten it done. They've had 3 coaches. They make trades. They trade smart. They bring Porzingis in. They get Derek White. They trade this guy. Like, at some point, they got to you-know-what or get off the pot. And I just think there's concern with me with Boston because I think at the end of the day, I don't know if I could trust them, because you see it in the playoffs too, can they get me 16 wins to a championship? Kevin, I don't know if they can do it.
Yeah, again, we will find out. They are absolutely loaded. We will talk about the 2 NBA games in a little bit. But, Coach, we'll start this off college basketball slate, and you're going to the Horizon, which features a team as bad as it gets in Detroit. 0-15 is where this team has started, but it is a light line tonight for them at home against Green Bay. And you're betting this game. What are you seeing?
Well, I'm going to just go with Green Bay on the money line because you got a team that's 0-15 and they find all different ways to lose. Now, the thing about it is Green Bay is actually somewhat strong defensively, so they're going to be able to kind of keep, a team like Detroit Mercy down. But also, we don't know about Jaden Stone, the top player for Detroit, has been out the last 4 games. He is questionable. And listen, when you got a team that hasn't won a game all year versus a team that's over 500, and it's a money line and it's minus 160 something, to me, like, until Detroit wins a game, such a short number, I'll just take the money line and say Green Bay gets to win on the road. After they had a good win, they're 3-1 in the Horizon League. So it's not like this team hasn't won games, Kevin. It's a short line. I'm going to take Green Bay.
You got to ask yourself, is Detroit paying for the sins of the Antoine Davis all-time scoring record hunt, which I know they ultimately didn't end up playing, or he didn't end up playing in that tournament game, but I mean, just the games gap, Pistol Pete. I'm glad Pistol still has the record in his only 83 games played from his time at LSU. Memphis, Tulsa, a little action in the American here. This Tigers team, to me, look awesome. an 11-2 start, top 15 in college basketball. Their losses to Villanova and Ole Miss, but they had a stretch of wins against A&M, Clemson, and Virginia that they ran off consecutively. This is their first game in the American. Do you trust them?
Kevin, I do trust him. Penny Hardaway has one of the oldest teams in the country. Remember, he just got Javon Quinterly from Alabama that came in and transferred in after the year. And he just got Naquan Tomlin, who did a really good job. And now with Tomlin there, he kind of fortifies the front court, right, Kevin? He had a 15-15 game a couple of games ago. This is a team that they're playing in Tulsa that's not very good offensively versus a strong defensive team in Memphis. I will say this. I had Jeff Goodman on the Betting Above the Rim podcast. He did a great job, Goody, yesterday. He just got released today. And we kind of went back and forth. I actually think that Memphis is the best team in the American. I think experience matters. I think this team is loaded. And remember, folks, before you start talking about this great run of FAU, remember they beat Memphis by 2. We may even talk about FAU if they lose that first round game. I think Memphis is the best team in the league because of what they brought back, but what they brought in with Quinterly and obviously Naquan Tomlin during the season. And tonight, I think they laid a wood. Give me Memphis minus 8.5.
All right, Joey, let's continue to go through the college basketball slate. JMU laying a number here in some Sun Belt action against the Raging Cajuns. The Dukes got their season off to a start with what was at the time an absolute stunning upset over Michigan State. They didn't really have any step-up spots since. Michigan State has started to turn the corner a bit. They're playing tonight, laying double digits at home to Penn State. But JMU has kind of now turned what's been a soft enough schedule, the big Michigan State win, into a top 20 ranking. How much do you believe in the Dukes here, big picture, but obviously in their matchup tonight?
You have a team in James Madison that gets 91.8 points per game and is the number 3 scoring option or offense in the country. They shoot roughly 49.9% from the floor, 50% from the floor, and they got 4 guys that can get you double figures, so they can hit you in different ways. So to me, this team is well coached. They are well balanced, and there's an interesting bet you can find on some books. It's like them and Ole Miss, which team loses first? I really think, K-Dub, this team could run the table and get all the way to the conference tournament undefeated. They are the best team in this league. Louisiana has just came off a loss over Marshall by 14. They haven't really played the type of schedule either. So I'm going to trust a team with more experience, and they can hit you with more with their 4 guys getting double figures. Give me JMU minus 5.5 tonight.
Here's what I'll say for folks. Again, I know sometimes people are like, oh, KenPom's not a Bible. Not using it as a Bible. I think it might be more useful to people, though, than an AP Top 25. JMU is 19th in the AP Top 25, 61st on KenPom. But to what JY was really talking about, the Sun Belt. There's only one other team that is inside the top 100. That's App State. Louisiana is the 3rd best team on KenPom at 144. So here's basically the reality on JMU. They're going to the tournament. That's already a done deal. Okay? I don't think they'll run the table, JY, because I don't think a team that's not one of the 40 best in college basketball can really do that. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out. But they're not going to lose that many games, realistically. We will see what the record ends up with for JMU. But this is a team that is right now working against the 327th hardest schedule in college basketball, a.k.a. it's been easy. But they picked their spot. They beat Michigan State. Trust me, though, this. They would not be a 12-1 receiving votes team if they lost that opening game to Michigan State, JY. This team is entirely here, right? Pops up on your ESPN top 25 games of the night because of a win on November 6th that did go to overtime. Again, a great win, but it is the entire reason that JMU gets featured on a night like this.
Yeah, their other wins have not been impressive. I mean, you make it look at maybe like a Radford team that's they beat by 3. Buffalo they beat by 15. Buffalo, George, the old assistant coach at Villanova's got, I think, 1 or 2 wins. I mean, Keystone College, That's in Pennsylvania, folks, if you don't know that. 130 to 59. So it's not like this team's playing murderer's row, but you take advantage of the games that are in front of you. And what they did was 2 big wins to start the year, not just the Michigan State game, but also, Kevin, that 113-108 barn burner at Kent State on game number 2. This team has a bunch of guys that can score. Kevin's right. They are overrated in regards to where they are placed, but in the league, they are far superior than just about everybody else.
JY's not going anywhere. We're going to hit a little Big Ten, a little Pac-12 in the NBA. But before we hit the break, some breaking news on the college football landscape. This from Pete Thamel of ESPN. Former K-State quarterback Will Howard is going to Ohio State. A much, much needed move for the Buckeyes, and one that I think started to become expected by the markets, truly, as Ohio State is 7-1 to win next year's national championship, $3 shorter than a Michigan team that is favored to win the national championship on Monday. Stuff to keep your mind on. I don't know, and I'm going to give a quick check because they did release the odds to win the Heisman. Will Howard's are not up. I was curious where they would post. Those Heisman odds are out with a Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, Jalen Milroe trio of co-favorites there. We'll talk to JY next, continue some college and the NBA.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite. I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
56% is really good. Anything close to 60 is retirement level stuff. So there's way more people on the lower side of that. You have to learn how to manage that. This is a game of give and take. Or come in quick and hit them and get out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina, we've got new sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Where they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College football today.
The Hawks team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro football today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all access.
In the NFC in terms of these wild cards, in terms of the playoff thing.
In-game live, prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense.
In-game live, overtime.
You want to give the over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. That's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
back with you right here on SportsGrid. I'm Kevin Walsh, joined by Coach James Young. JY, we've got Big Ten and we've got Pac-12 remaining on your card. We'll go to the Big Ten first. Michigan in a late-night matchup with Minnesota. What do you want to do with this one?
To me, this doesn't seem like a big spot for Michigan. This is a team that obviously hasn't had the best non-conference record with some of their losses, and they got work to do. So it's a big game versus Michigan versus the Minnesota team that I don't think is very good. Michigan's got to start to get rolling. This is a big spot for them. That's the only reason why I'm taking them. I think Minnesota's overrated. They haven't played anybody. Michigan's had the hardest schedule. They're more battle-tested. They get the win. Give me Michigan's minus 6.5 tonight.
And then, JY, game of the night, college basketball-wise, for me, is in the Pac-12 with Arizona and Colorado. Wildcats laying 12.5, total 159.5. Arizona off that loss to Stanford, looking to bounce back. What are you looking for?
You know, when I was talking to Jeff Goodman yesterday, he said, I quote, he has Colorado right now going to the Final Four. And I did a little digging here. Ted Boyle, let's be honest, Kevin, is one of the best coaches in the country and no one talks about. He's stuck in Colorado, and all they care about is Neon Dion and Shador and all that other nonsense. This is a team that actually wins in that state of Colorado, is that team. Well, the women's basketball team is also pretty good, but some people that are interns don't care about that. But anyway, I like Colorado plus the points. KJ Simpson, know the name, folks, 21.5 points per game, shoots 49% from three. They score in bunches, and Arizona has shown lately they can give up points in bunches, particularly from three. I think Arizona wins, but this is a lack of respect for a Colorado team that, ready? I know people don't think much of it, beat Miami by 27 points. This team is for real. Give me the Colorado Buffs, plus 12.5.
Again, I'm on Kylan Boswell in that game over. 17.5 points, rebounds, and assists. We'll re-rack those games in a little bit. All right, JY, Milwaukee here goes to San Antonio on the second leg of a back-to-back, up to now a 10.5-point favorite. Giannis and Vic, we've seen it once. We'll see it again. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for a Milwaukee team that should be in a bad you-know-what mood, Kevin. I mean, let's be honest. They went 1-4 against the Pacers. The only time they won a game, they may have lost the fight because Giannis probably still hasn't gotten the right ball back. More about that another time. But I think this is a spot where you have a Bucks team that can really score. They're going against a terrible defense. I know it's the third game of 4 nights, but I just look at this Bucks team and this being a pride check game. It's only 2 games on TV tonight, so it's on everywhere. Bucks make a statement versus a team that's lost 26 out of 28 games. Give me Milwaukee Bucks. I got it at 9.5. I'll take them at 10.5.
So I am on a Spurs team total tonight, JY. So I do not think it would qualify as a head-to-head. We can both certainly handle our business here. And I do think there is a world where Milwaukee shows up super motivated because the Pacers are kind of pantsing them in front of everyone. And if they want, they could easily hang 145 here. All right? Mm-hmm. I mean, their team total is 130. They can get through it. But I looked into something. Teams playing on the second leg of a back-to-back where the Pacers were the first leg, 1-3 against the number, giving up 129 points per game. It makes sense, doesn't it? Having to play that team in that tempo and then play the next night, travel obviously here for Milwaukee. I worry about the situational spot for the Bucks. I do think it would be an obvious take the point spot if Milwaukee had to beat Indiana. That's again why I'm taking the team total, but I still worry having to play on the second leg when the first leg was Indiana.
Yeah, that's a concern because you have no legs at the end of the game, K-Dub, and then you got to turn around and fly and go somewhere else. So I could see that. When you also look at this game, because you're saying that, I like Vic Wembanyama to go over 8.5 rebounds tonight. I think this is where they kind of could correlate because if there is something that's going to go, Kevin, it tends to be the perimeter shot that opens up more opportunities for obviously Big Vic. You look at the fact that Zach Collins is out, extended minutes, 20 out of 29. He's hit this number. He's missed it 5 straight. Hit the 10 before that. Big Wemby over 8.5 rebounds tonight.
JY, he would be in a quintuple bounce. I mean, the level of bounce back here. Vic started the month of December. Really, this actually dated back to late November on a rebounding tear. But since the 21st, this is now 5 consecutive games, 7 or less rebounds for Wembanyama. So certainly qualifies as a bounce back spot. But I am still, so I was able to play a PRA of his against Portland a couple of days ago and scored 30 in the game, so obviously it went great. But I was also figuring he was going to play, he was going to get back to about 30 minutes a game. And he didn't at all. He only played 24. Since the injury, JY, right? We have not seen Pop be willing to play Wemby. This was some of the stuff that people were worried about with Wembanyama when he was drafted by San Antonio, about how they would coddle him. And now it is starting to play out that way again. It's hard to get home on some of the props. I'm not saying you can't get there, right? I get the pick, JY, a ton. But if you tonight, in a close, good game, get 24 minutes from Wemby, that's going to be really frustrating.
It's going to be really frustrating. And my hope is, honestly, because of the fact that they're going to try and take advantage of a back-to-back night of Milwaukee, the fact that it's a nationally televised game, it's the only game on, right, Kevin, before the Denver Golden State game at 10 o'clock. To me, this is a spot where if you're Pop or you're the NBA, you're saying to Pop, no, not tonight. This kid's got to play a little bit. And you're right, 26, 24, 24, 24. The last time that he played more than 30 minutes was a 146, 110 loss, and he got 13 rebounds. I am looking for him to get more to that 30 to 35 mark tonight, and that's why I'm on Big Vic to get over 8.5 rebounds, mainly because also it's a national televised game, and there's no other game on. They want this kid to show up.
Again, it would be nice per 36, and I know that would be a ton, but just 12.5 rebounds a game. His per 36 is 23, basically call it 13, 4, and 4, with the other 4 being blocks. But he's not. This was the worry. That and Chet has the cheat code of getting to have the year off thing that always seems to work out, and this is, that's separate, right? That's separate. The Wemby minutes thing with the injury picked up, Spurs are coddling. The Spurs are also terrible. 5-28. We'll see how long Pop can continue to get away with that being true. And then we'll go over, JY, to Denver and their matchup in Golden State tonight. This line climbing up a little bit. We're seeing some 4s start to appear in the market. What are you looking for here with Golden State and Denver?
I think you mentioned it before I came on about the Joker and what happened with the free throws and the complaining of Steve Kerr, which is honestly, Kevin, this is out of the Phil Jackson book of bitching, right? You complain about the referees, you hope that the next time it works in your favor when you play the team. Kevin, I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think they can guard the guy. I think they're going to struggle. Even though one of my plays involves a guy that's going to guard him. A Nuggets team that I'll just even say it against the spread. 4-2 against the spread the last 6 road games, 8-4 against the spread the last 12 games overall, 5-2 against the spread the last 7 versus Golden State. They struggle to stop people defensively. I think it's going to be, you're right, it's going to be a great game. I'm going to lay a little bit more juice, and I'm just going to take the Denver Nuggets on the money line. They escape in a really, really good game tonight.
Joe, are you finding it, you're in a couple spots now with these hoop slates where what's the juice limit for you on some of these money lines now? Because a lot of people out there are going to look at their books and see Denver minus 170. You're okay with that for a money line?
Yeah, and here's the thing, Kevin. Earlier today, it was at minus 150 because they were a 2.5-point favorite. And they moved to the 3.5 point, which then moved the money line up to like a minus, I think, 166, maybe off by a couple of cents here or there. At that point, I'm going to take the extra 20 cents because I was going to take it at minus 150. I'll pay the extra 20 cents for the other point I have to deal with just in case. But minus 170, usually I wouldn't go there. tonight. I think it's a good game, but I think they escaped. That's why I'm going to go pay a little bit of extra juice.
All right, and then props. Who are you going to key on between Denver and Golden State?
One of them I'm going to go to is I'm going to go with KCP over 1.5 made threes. He has made this in 3 of his last 4 games. I think this correlates to what I think is going to happen in regards to the fact of I think they're going to try and neutralize the Joker. Do know KCP earlier on that Christmas Day game had 4 made threes, so I'm looking at that. And then I'm going to go to the rookie, which Kevin said may only play like 5 minutes tonight because he may be in foul trouble. And that's going to be Trace Jackson Davis, who's done pretty well going into the starting lineup. They've hung his props pretty low. It's at 9.5 points. If you look at his points, he has gone over, I think it's 7 out of the last 8 games, and he's going into the starting lineup. Low-hanging fruit. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, Kevin, he's going to get there. The question is, does he stay out of foul trouble?
Yeah, he's not going to stay out of foul trouble. He's not. But maybe he can still get there because it's a low number. JY, on Christmas, he played 15 minutes. He had 5 fouls. Now, he scored 8 points. And at the time, he wasn't a starter.
That's JY minutes.
I mean,
use my foul.
JY, it's a foul every 3 minutes he was giving him.
Hey, I usually
not
do
great.
Too.
Okay, well, but I'm almost wondering, does Kevon Looney make any sense tonight? Where they're going to have to throw multiple options at him, right? Like I think they're going to want to keep Jackson Davis in the starting lineup, but a points plus rebounds prop tonight for Kevon Looney is 9.5. Now, here's the thing. Kevon Looney wasn't good on Christmas either. He had 4 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 fouls in his 22 minutes of work. And Looney has been playing less and less and less in these games. He's played 14, 11, and 17 in the game since Christmas. So, I'm not saying run to the window on Kevon Looney. They're all screwed. I'm on Jokic tonight. I think Jokic is going to give them all business. But can Jackson Davis get enough on the other side of the court? Again, he had 8 points in 15 minutes, JY. Can he get you 20 minutes tonight is the question.
I think that's where he gets there. And I will say this, Kevin. The low-hanging, the P.J. Tucker one of the night, I mean, Kevon Looney's rebounds is 4.5. Like, you just said it. Even the 2 of the last 3 games that he started, he got the 5, right? He's gone over 11 out of 15 games. Like, 4.5 rebounds for Kevon Looney? It's minus 140, folks. That'd be worth a play. That's a low-hanging fruit for a guy that can rebound the ball pretty well.
I mean, and again, the 4.5 points prop, he's landed on 5 in 3 straight games. He's playing 14, 11, and 17 minutes. Are we adding? Now we're all in on Warriors centers? It's possible. Great stuff, JY. We'll close out our opening hour of Game Time decisions after this quick break.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
56% is really good. Anything close to 60 is retirement level stuff. So there's way more people on the lower side of that. You have to learn how to manage that. This is a game of give and take. I mean, or come in quick and hit them and get out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU. because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina, we've got new sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Well, they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College football today.
The Hawks team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro football today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all access.
In the NFC in terms of these wild cards and in terms of the playoff picture.
In-game live, prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense here.
In-game live, overtime.
You want to give the over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. That's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We're live right here on SportsGrid. I'm Kevin Walsh. Great stuff from Coach James Young. A lot of NBA and college picks from JY. We kind of talked it through, and there could be some value on Kevon Looney. The hesitation for me is I am working towards the Jokic prop, and if Looney doesn't get there, it could very well mean good things for the Jokic prop, which I'm keying in on as his points over the 25.5. Nikola Jokic shot 18 free throws on Christmas against the Golden State Warriors. Some of that was Looney. Some of that was Jackson Davis, who gets the start tonight. I'm assuming. I don't think Kerr is going to switch it off of a win. And Jackson Davis specifically is going to be in a tricky spot. On Christmas, played 15 minutes, picked up 5 fouls. Not good. Jokic is going to, if I were Jokic tonight with Kerr complaining about the amount of free throws that he took, I would actively hunt him. Shoot 25 free throws. Why not? Embiid, Giannis, they do it occasionally. Jokic might as well. But if Jokic has to settle for field goals, those will work as well. His last 3 games, he's 26 of 28 from the field. 26 of 28. He's not missed more than 1 shot in the last 3 games. Nikola Jokic. The reason he's not been able to smash this 25.5 number in that stretch, once landing at 26, the other times underneath 20, is these games have been blowouts. Average margin of victory in the last 3 games, 2 of those for Denver once they were on the losing end, is 27 points per game. Tonight's game, I do think, will be close, even though this JY would have leaned on Denver there, or a play on Denver, but a play on a Denver money line, not on a spread. Expects it to still be a closer basketball game, as long as I get a full Jokic workload of 35-plus minutes tonight, and I'll get around 15 field goals attempts and maybe 10 to 12 free throw attempts. That all works for me. And again, it should be a 30-plus point performance here from Nikola Jokic on the road. We are coming up against the break. We're back in less than a minute. We'll reset the card, kind of what's going on here, as well as get you a Davis Maddox same-game parlay. At 7:12, we're joined by Joe Madden. We'll break down the hockey slate for you here on SportsGrid. Live right here on SportsGrid. I'm Kevin Walsh. It's Game Time Decisions on a Thursday night. Big hour here. Joe Madden, Joe Neary, and Dave Sharapan all stopping by at various points to help us go through tonight's cards and big picture outlook as well. I want to let you know the hockey slate here because likely these games will drop before Joe joins us. There are 4 7-10 starts. Boston hosts Pittsburgh minus 150 on the money line. Totals 5.5 minus juice at 134 to the over of 5.5. Montreal, a home dog against the Sabres. Buffalo, minus 156. 6.5 is your total. That pointing towards the over juice-wise. Connor Bedard makes his Garden debut. A minus 465 number on the Rangers. Outrageous. Big time total is 6.5. Does point to the under juiced right now at minus 134. And then a little Flyers, Blue Jackets. The Flyers at home around minus 180. Again, another 6.5 total. But again, that juice is at the moment pointing towards the under. Connor Bedard tonight to record at just 1 point. Minus 156. Not bad for Bedard. Plus 320 for him to get 2 points. And then if you want the anytime goal scorer, you're looking at a 2-1 number there for Bedard. The assist prop for him, plus 142. So a couple of options there for Bedard as he makes the Garden debut. We are going to go to Davis Maddock, though, and get set here for a little same-game parlay. Davis locking in on this matchup between the Nuggets and the Warriors. We've talked, there has been some line movement throughout the day. 3 to 4, the number. You can still find it 3, I believe. Definitely 3.5s. As well as some 4s. The total in this game right now, 234.5 to 235. Let's make sure we bring the radio audience in. Appreciate all those here with us across the SportsGrid network, including Sirius XM, channel 159. I'm Kevin Walsh with you on Game Time Decisions. But Warriors, Nuggets, Davis Maddox, same game parlay.
All right, guys, we are back for another same-game parlay over on the FanDuel Sportsbook, continuing with the trend of NBA action. We have the Denver Nuggets who are traveling to play at the Golden State Warriors. The Nuggets coming off of a pretty embarrassing loss to Oklahoma City and then a fine win against the Hornets. The Warriors continue to scrap their way through this season. A little bit of a lost year for one of the greatest teams of the modern era. We are going to, of course, be taking the Denver Nuggets minus 3 on the spread. No Aaron Gordon, no problem for them in this spot. Honestly, Nikola Jokic just does continue to be the best or the second best player in the NBA, almost averaging a triple-double, 25, 9, and 12, and that is how we are going to add to this same game parlay. We're also going to take the over on 235. Then we're going to add Nikola Jokic to score 30 or more points, record 10 or more assists, and record 10 or more rebounds. Obviously, Jokic had to slay the Golden State Warriors to win an NBA championship, and that is, I think he's going to be up for this game. This 5-leg same-game parlay is going to give us plus 1,218 odds, Nuggets minus 3, over 235, and Nikola Jokic to score 30 or more points, 10 or more rebounds, 10 or more assists. Good luck tonight, everybody.
Back with you here on the grid. Appreciate the breakdown there from Davis. Like where he's headed with the Nikola Jokic 30-point triple-double paired up with some juice in that game to the over, as well as the Nuggets getting the cover. The straight triple-double price on Nikola Jokic tonight checks in at plus 165. And that is, again, the assist category now down 8.5 at minus 140. The rebounds remain well expected at 12.5, and his juice is high as minus 124 right now. But it is this points prop that I am keyed on. To score 30 for Jokic tonight is plus 195. You're getting 5-1 for 35 plus. That is just using the FanDuel number. Let me look around here a little bit. Again, this is what hanging out with Joe Lisi does to you. You start looking for alts, and more alts. The triple-double number on DK is a plus 135, so nowhere near as good. So keep that in mind. If you're looking for alt points, plus 1, much better on FanDuel. 35 plus is only 4-1, and then the 30 plus there, plus 155. So Jokic, big time props tonight. You are better off Just using, again, kind of the two primary books, because I know that's where a lot of people are locked in on. One prop I was looking to play, and I want to see kind of if there's some updated numbers on this guy, but it was Jonathan Kuminga. Steve Kerr has been trying to figure out who he can and cannot trust in his rotation. He knows Steph is a yes, and a lot of the rest of it seems to fluctuate, honestly. Kuminga last game against the Magic played 34 minutes. Now, if you could promise me that Steve Kerr was going to play Kuminga 30 minutes, then I would be on his over 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. It was 20.5 earlier today, very juiced. It did climb. On a 20.5 number, he is 8-4 to the over in his last 12 games, playing 26.5 minutes per game in that stretch. When Kuminga this season has played more than 26 minutes, he is 7-0 to the over of, again, a would-be prop of 20.5. I don't admittedly remember if any of those landed at 21. If they did, it would have been just one of those numbers. But again, the key for Kuminga is minutes. That's the key. Will Kerr push forward with Kuminga getting more and more action? This is obviously a high draft pick for this team that they're hoping for, but it is tough to tell how much of these Kuminga minutes is it Klay Thompson, who's been in foul trouble in a couple of games in a row, or is it Klay not playing as well? Podziemski's recently pushed back towards the bench, so maybe that's allowing Kuminga to play more. Maybe Kerr loved his matchup last night. Kuminga, again, played very well, 19.6 rebounds and 4 assists against Orlando. He didn't play the type of minutes that, again, would make this a no-doubter bet for me against Denver. He only played 23. In that game, he landed on 21. I knew there was a key. He landed on 21 PRA, 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. So for me, Kuminga's a guy to watch. He would almost be a leap of faith kind of guy or an alt kind of guy. Could he get you 20-plus points? Again, last night he landed 19, but he was 1 of 5 from 3. What kind of workload you get from Jonathan Kuminga could absolutely, if you trust it, make the difference. But we're on Jokic in that game over 25.5, and we're on the Spurs team total tonight. When is that game tipping? At about, probably, I see these TNT games. Is it tip at 7:30 or is it tip at 7:47? Let's see if it says. It says 7:30. It could be a hard 7:30. If it is, Spurs team total over 118.5. Great spot for them playing the Bucks, who are on the second leg of a back-to-back after playing a game in Indiana. We are also live with our North Carolina A&T Campbell over. So I got to turn that on, put some eyes on. We're going to talk to Joe Madden next. Get you all some picks on the hockey slate and a little look towards the weekend of NFL action.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
56% is really good. Anything close to 60 is retirement level stuff. So there's way more people on the lower side of that. You have to learn how to manage that. This is a game of give and take. I mean, or come in quick and hit them and get out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. and now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina, we've got new sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Where they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College football today.
The Hawks team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro football today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all
You see it
access.
in the NFC in terms of these wild cards and in terms of the playoff picture.
In-game live prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense here.
In-game live overtime.
You want to give the over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. That's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Back to right here on Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. I'm joined by Joe Madden. Joe, thanks for stopping by. How you feeling on Thursday night?
I'm feeling good. Since the New Year's come around, hockey has been absolutely cashing out there on the ice, but it feels kind of odd. No Thursday night football game, right, Kevin?
Yeah, it's missed. It's fun. Although I don't think I want to do a Thursday night playoff game. Like, I know we have the Monday nighter that we're going to do, and it's so likely, Joe, that the Eagles are going to end up on the Monday night game, and then we'll be going to be on air. It's going to be a whole thing. It is what it is. I'll live with it. But I don't need to do playoff Thursday night football. Let's get into the hockey. Curious, though, 4 games did start. I know the odds have moved, but unless it was Boston's up 1-0. Everything else is scoreless. Just curious, did you like anything in those first 4 games that are underway?
Yeah, I'm absolutely smelling some upsets in these first couple of games that are underway right now. I do think the Pittsburgh Penguins are alive, and with them down that 1 goal, I would definitely look at them here on that puck line plus the 1.5. I also think you sprinkle on that money line because I know it's a hard place to win in Boston, but I love what we've been seeing out of the Pittsburgh Penguins. This team has been really stepping up offensively, led by Sidney Crosby, and I think he comes out nice and strong tonight. So I'm looking at that one. I also think the Chicago Blackhawks have an opportunity of pulling off the upset over the New York Rangers. I know how phenomenally strong the New York Rangers are, but something about this game, it just smells like the Blackhawks can come out and get it done. They always play really strong in the Garden, and I think they at least keep it tight. So if you want to look at them plus the 1.5 on the puck line, I don't hate that either. The other couple of games here, looking at Columbus and the Flyers, a little bit harder to see what we're going to get. I did like the Flyers in the first period on that puck line, just laying the half a goal. You're getting plus money on that. And then the Buffalo Sabres taking on the Montreal Canadiens. I have a lot of faith in Montreal with Sam Montague in goal, but we got Jake Allen in tonight. I expect this game to go over, but trends do go under between these two. So we'll see what we get out of that one, Kevin.
All right, keep tabs on it. I wouldn't then. Now, maybe you would miss the opportunity, right? But with the puck line, and now it's actually a live 2.5 at -148. But you know this, Joe. I obviously don't bet anywhere hockey near as much as you. I don't know if I could take a dog plus a goal and a half. Sit there, empty net. It would break me, I think. But I also think, and I've noticed this, people that don't bet hockey that often, like myself, think every single game has at least 1, if not 2, empty net goals, and that's not really true.
No, it's not really true. And you really have to start looking at that when you're looking at teams that do cover the puck line, because there are those empty net goals that come into play that are really garbage goals and isn't a true implication of how that game really did play out to the very end. So even looking at the Sharks in their last game, that was an empty netter. I believe I'm drawing a blank on who they played, but it was an empty netter coming in at the end of that game. So the Sharks actually did play tight in that one. So you've got to look at these teams, really break down these games and see if it was one empty netter or if there was two. That's why I really like isolating those first periods, Kevin, because you're taking out that whole factor in that first period and looking at the puck lines or the money lines in there.
All right, well, speaking of first period, Joe, I know there's a couple of angles in that direction that you're looking at. In the 8 o'clock window, the Canucks are favorites at St. Louis. Game total 6.5. What are you looking for here?
Oh, this is going to be a really interesting matchup because I do think this is one where the St. Louis Blues actually have the opportunity of getting the win. We're getting plus money on them at home, but I think the safer bet and the better bet is looking at the Vancouver Canucks in that first period. This is a team that has been so solid coming out, especially in that first period, able to find the back of the net. Jordan Binnington is in goal tonight for the St. Louis Blues, and I think they can hit him and hit him early. You look at them coming out in the first period here on the puck line, laying the half a goal, and we're getting plus money on that at plus 158. I think this absolutely screams value. We know the St. Louis Blues like to play a more defensive style of hockey, and since the coaching change, this team has really been able to turn things around. They've been finding the back of the net more, but Demko in net for the Vancouver Canucks. So my faith comes in the Canucks in the first period. They're starting a long road trip here, Kevin. This is game 1 of a 7-game road trip. They're not back at home till after the 15th. That's their last game on the road. So they want to start this road trip off hot. I think it starts in that first period.
All right, and then how about also in the same window is the Nashville game against the Flames. Calgary is even money to win this game outright. A 5.5 total has minus 138 juice towards the over. What are you looking here?
I can't wait for this game to kick off, Kevin. I'm looking here at something that I've bet against Calgary in. And now since Jacob Markstrom's come back from injury, he's been phenomenally strong in that first period. But I think it breaks down here versus the Nashville Predators. The Nashville Predators versus Calgary have won the last 5 first periods versus the Calgary Flames. And I think that trend continues strong because Jacob Markstrom, if he's going to let in a goal, he normally lets that early one in. Now you can look at the puck line here. You're getting it at plus 180. I think the safer bet is looking at that money line. You're only paying minus 120 on the money line for the Predators in the first period. And why I think it's a safer bet is we could see this being 0-0. If Jacob Markstrom stands on his head, then you're going to get your money back with that push on that money line. But the puck line still screams value, laying the half a goal at plus 180. I think this is a lower scoring game. I think this one can stay under 5.5. If you can get a 5.5 out there, getting the alt line, I have seen movement up to the 6.5. It was plus 112 to the under 5.5 earlier. I think this is 2-2, and I do think it has the opportunity of going to overtime. So with the opportunity of going to overtime here, that's plus 340. Now, 5 of the last 10 meetings between these two have gone to overtime, with 2 of those going to a shutout. Or a shootout. I do think there's every opportunity for that plus money on the overtime bets. My favorite bet of the night at plus 340, Kevin.
Absolutely love it. I am sure that, look, there's a few good games here. Bedard is in the Garden. People always like when Boston and Pittsburgh play. Avs Stars looks enticing. But Florida and Vegas, right, 2 top 10 teams in points. I see Florida as a road favorite. That surprises me. What does it say to you?
You know what? When you first look at this game, you're like, how is Vegas a dog at home in this matchup, especially after Florida won the last one? But I can't look anywhere other than the Florida Panthers in this. I think it comes down to a tight battle in this game, but you look at the current form of the Vegas Golden Knights, and they've been absolutely struggling, especially with Shea Theodore out of the lineup for the last 3-4 weeks. We also have Carlson out of the lineup tonight for the Vegas Golden Knights, which is hugely impactful. I'm looking at the Florida Panthers in the first period on that puck line. You're going to get value there. On the money line, actually, minus 118. Puck line you can look at as well. You're going to get that plus money. I think they start off hot and fast in this game, but I do think lower scoring, battle out here, coin flip at the end First period, Florida Panthers.
All right, fair enough. And then I believe the last play on the ice, we are incredibly going to get to it all, which is great. And again, Joe, we appreciate all the picks. Kings go up against the Red Wings here at home. A team total for you?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to look at the Kings team total over 3.5. This is a team that's been struggling at home, but they're still able to find the back of the net. They've been playing strong versus the Red Wings over the last 10, winning 9 of those. And I do think in this one, the only thing I can count on is them to be able to step up offensively. We know the Red Wings do allow that puck in the back of the net. So give me their team total over 3.5. They'll hit Alex Leon hard tonight here, Kevin.
Beautiful. Absolutely fantastic. Look at that. It's a good slate. I like this slate of games here. The more I look at it. Coyotes Islanders catches my eyes. Can Barzal do anything in that matchup?
You know what? I think the Coyotes could pull it off at home, but it's going to be a high-scoring one. Can't believe we got a 5.5 in that one. The Islanders the Islanders allow teams to come back. Look at the Coyotes.
All right, something to look for.
After they fall down.
Perfect. Joe, we appreciate it. As always, great stuff breaking down tonight's NHL slate. Coming up next, it's going to be Joe Ranieri with us right here on Game Time Decisions.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game
will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
56% is really good. Anything close to 60 is retirement level stuff. So there's way more people on the lower side of that. You have to learn how to manage that. This is a game of give and take. I mean, or come in quick and hit them and get out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game Time Decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina, we've got new sports books operating for licenses, and you know, a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Where they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College football today.
The Hawks team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro football today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all
You see
access.
it in the NFC in terms of these wild cards and in terms of the playoff picture.
In-game live, prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense here.
In-game live, overtime.
You want to give the over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. You know, that's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live on Sports Grid, it's Kevin Walsh, now joined by Joe Ranieri here on a Thursday night. Joe, how are you? No awful football game to be upset by.
Yeah, no, those days are over. Now we just get to yell and scream at Week 18 games on Sunday, where we try to figure out and play guess who's playing and guess who isn't playing, because it feels a lot like bowl season here, Week 18 of the NFL season here, Walsh.
It does. It does. And you know what? You just really made something very clear for me. See, Joe, you are very familiar with our both good friend, Donnie Rightside.
Yes.
And Donnie and I today did a little radio, and Donnie had one team cares, the other team doesn't, moneyline parlay lined up.
Oh, no.
Because he feels there's no way a team who needs the game could lose. And then I just remember that Donnie completely ignores bowl season as much as possible and ignores that for at least the first, 2 weeks of bowl season, every time you beat a number, it went the other way. Correct. So that just all made a lot of sense to me, Joe, and I appreciate that from you.
That's correct. Yes. Unless you've lived it, it's very hard to understand what we've been going through. And this is, Week 18 is kind of a new thing for us as well this year. So it's kind of a double banger where guess who's playing, because I don't believe any of the coaches also, Walsh. I believe not one of those coaches that nobody is playing. I don't buy it.
I'll ask you this, and I'm going to ask Dave about it in a bit as well. The incentive stuff, right? It's incentive week. Everybody's tweeting out the incentives. I am now, at this point, I might just wait till Sunday, 12:55, and then just take a bunch of it under. I don't know. The books know. I mean, the books know. Like the touchdown stuff, there's not that much they can do, right? I mean, they can give you bad numbers, but bad numbers can still cash, right? Where a guy is plus 320 to score twice when he should be 8-1, but people take the bad number, win, whatever. But I don't know. The incentive stuff, I feel like I'm going to end up getting angry and going the other way because I'm turning into a curmudgeon.
Yeah, well, you already know. You nailed it there. If we're talking about it, then the books already know what the incentives are, and they've already baked it into the number. So anybody who thinks in Week 18 that they are getting some sort of edge because the dude's online to get an extra $250K, no. That's not how it works. And yes, and that doesn't, like you said, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get that half a sack, unless, of course, you're Strahan and Brett Favre just let you sack to keep the record. But that's a whole different ballgame. That stuff doesn't happen, and we're not guaranteed that any of the people with the incentives are even guaranteed not only to get them, but might even be on the field here this year. Bigger fish to fry coming up in the NFL. Yeah.
Odell already ruled out for the Saturday game, and he has some pretty easy to get stuff, I think. But again, it's just Ravens are playing for a Super Bowl.
In the NFL, it doesn't have an incentive to get this week. Everybody has got something in the contract that they can make more money this week. Doesn't mean they're playing.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go quick with the college basketball. Is there anything live that you are on at the moment? I know plenty of action, even if they weren't great games, did tip at 7.
Yeah, there are some. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love Fairleigh Dickinson, Merrimack? I mean, that is just a
get excited.
Barn burner right there. I mean, I'm a little disgusted to say I'm on William and Mary right now as they're taking on Elon, two schools that absolutely nobody should ever be forced to watch play basketball unless you absolutely hate them. But all the games to me that are interesting are coming up a little bit later here tonight, like Arizona State, Utah, for instance, or Arizona, Colorado. So a lot of great West Coast games coming up a little bit later, too.
What are you thinking about some of the Pac-12 action? Are you getting involved anywhere? I heard the other day I was walking by the TV, and I knew you were kind of setting the stage with it was an in-game live breakdown, kind of the struggles for USC. I know they're maybe trying to start to turn around a little bit. They picked up a win in their last game. But tonight you've got 8 teams from the Pac-12 in action. Where are you getting involved here?
Yeah, no, well, I think you got two teams and two programs in totally different directions here with Utah and Arizona State here. There's just not enough offense in Arizona State for me to want to back them even as a home dog here tonight, because I do think Utah is one of the better teams. They have size, they've got athleticism, they've got great offense, they can hit from the outside, but they can also make your life very difficult with rebounding and not getting second chance points. I just don't see how Arizona State stays in this game. I think Utah will eventually run away with it late in the second half here. Like this Utah team this year, I think they match up pretty well with some of the big boys out there in the Pac-12.
11-2 start, 2-0 in Pac-12 play so far. As far as the three ranked teams from the non-major conferences, Gonzaga's looking for that bounce back spot. The JMU, it's whatever. Like the AP top 25 doesn't matter, but they're also obviously not a top 25 team in college basketball. It is what it is. Are you interested in any of those three earlier games, Memphis, Tulsa included?
Yeah, well, you would think listen, Memphis is the better team than Tulsa, right? But this is what makes makes college basketball so much fun. It's one thing to be better on paper. It's one thing to be really good at home, but we're about to learn here in this first week, what can you do on the road? And I do think Memphis, who has a bunch of very experienced roster here. It's an older roster. It's guys that have been around the block. And those teams tend to do a little bit better on those initial road trips like what we're seeing here this week. And I do think Tulsa's had a nice season, but there's levels to this. Memphis has been there and done this. They are battle-tested. I think they go in there and make quick work at Tulsa.
I like it. I like the Memphis group. JMU, not as sold. You beat Michigan State when the team looked like Izzo was completely done with the group. Are you interested in the two? The NBA, it's a weird spot, right? No football. This is great. Let's get excited about the NBA. And then you remember, NBA primetime slates are usually 2 games. And then we get a Wembanyama game because Wemby matters. So that game's not supposed to be great, even if I think the Spurs can hang relative to the spread. And then Warriors-Nuggets requires Steph to play very well for that to be a good game. What do you think of the 2 NBA spots?
Well, Golden State has been pretty good against the number at home as a dog. They are, catching 3.5 here, maybe even 4. And I do believe that given how the Christmas game ended with, Jokic getting 20,000 free throws and nobody else getting a foul called against them, which was, made Steve Kerr get a coronary after that game. I do believe they circled this game here. And I thought they were fortunate to beat Orlando the other night, except Orlando can't win on the road. That's apparent. But I do think they're going to be up for this game at home. I think you're going to get maximum effort from Golden State here tonight. And I have no problem taking the points at home. If they can't beat them at home here, then you got some serious issues that you're going to have to address here, Golden State.
And again, the incredible thing is with the Christmas slate, if they got a great Steph game, if they got a good Steph game, they could have won it, right? Steph played very poorly, so I think he specifically should have a great game. But to what you said, I've been talking about it on the show tonight, Joe, I think that Jokic has attempted 3 free throws since the Christmas game.
It's crazy.
Maybe he doesn't care about anything, honestly, right? And that's just that's the idea around Jokic, is he doesn't care, which I think is actually not true, but whatever, that's not the point. He should tonight actually show Kerr what it looks like if he foul baits all night. Trace Jackson Davis, who is now starting for Golden State, played 15 minutes and picked up 5 fouls in that game. Jokic should foul him out in the first quarter. That's what I'm looking for from Joker tonight, a points prop of 25.5.
Well, and you're going to get it. I think the stat that we got, though, was something. It's been forever since Golden State has given up a triple-double to anybody. But Jokic had 35 and 13 in the first game they played, then 26 and 14 in the other game that they played in Denver, both over the Warriors here. So they clearly have no answer for him. It's going to be fascinating to see how they approach this game here. It really is. What are they going to let and say, hey, whatever the hell you want, nobody else is going to beat us? Are they capable of doing that? Or is this simply going to be Jokic versus Steph and may the best 50, whoever can drop 50 wins, that kind of game there? It's going to be fascinating to see. I'm wondering how much they're going to push this envelope here tonight with a hackathon on Jokic.
Well, and that's I don't know. It's a really good point. If this crew is going to feel we got to keep a light whistle on Jokic, they might go the other way. Steve was calling out our guys. You know what? 10 free throws first quarter. That's where, if you're Mike Malone, first 4 possessions, Jokic on the post, let's figure it out. Let's just find out what kind of night it's going to be, right?
Exactly.
And go from there. So, again, I'm looking forward to that one. Sounds like you are as well. I feel it's a comfortable assumption you're on in-game live tonight. Usually, if a show is live, you're working it. So have some fun, Joe. We'll talk to you later.
Talk to you, man. Appreciate it, Walsh. Let's cash these tickets tonight. Go Hofstra.
Yes, sir. All right, great stuff. We've got Dave Sharapan, the pride. Sharapan, stopping up next with us right here on Game Time Decisions.
Introducing Sports Injury Central's new feature, The Injury Edge, your NFL matchup cheat sheet. See all the significant injury mismatches broken down by offense and defense to highlight where the advantages lie. All for only $2.99 a week. How can you even consider making a bet or setting your fantasy lineup without knowing the injury mismatches? Go to sixscore.com today and get this week's Injury Edge.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It looked like it was going in. It hit the upright and bounced out and did not go in. There's more scoring in an MLS soccer game than there is this Cotton Bowl.
The Chargers didn't know what the hell to do with Staley for years. They're a clown show in Chief. Denver's got this issue, Gabe. Like, the Chiefs must just be sitting there going, wow, what a bunch of brain trust we work with in this division.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back,
the irony.
I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College football today.
The Hawks team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro football today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all access.
The NFC in terms of these wild cards and in terms of the playoff picture.
In-game live, prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense here.
In-game live, overtime.
You can be over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. Yeah, that's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Respect, people. That's what it's all about. Let me explain to you what I'm talking about. We're on this North Carolina A&T Aggies Campbell Fighting Camels over at 142.5. At the 12:22 mark, we had the 20th point of the game for Campbell. We like that. We were at the 3:34 mark. We had still 20 points. Who breaks it? Elijah Walsh. Yes, that's family. That's family.
Is he related?
That's what I like to see.
Is he related?
Now he is. Keep it going, kid. I'll tell you at the end of the game. That's what I like to see. Off the bench, Elijah Walsh. Right now, he's got a 3 as well from outer space. Looks just, he's from England. This kid's electric.
Cousin. Hey, listen, get in there and get a basket.
Wow, overseas family. Let's make it happen. That is Dave Sharapan, Sportsbook Consigliere. Dave, how are you, sir?
I'm great. I'm trying to keep an eye on this Penguins-Bruins game. And,
yes,
you blink an eye, it's 1-1, it's 2-2, it's 3-2.
Wild one.
In the first period. Game closed 6 under or 5.5 over. We were talking about it during the break. There's 5 minutes left, and they're still going. You like under? I mean, you've been changed. This game has nothing but juice. I expect
I'll tell you why.
on and say this is getting double digits.
I'll tell you why. This was a couple weeks ago. I was back in Queens. It was an off day. I was like, I'm going to take the day off. I'm not going to bet, right? Leave it be. Just, you know what I mean? And then someone texted me a hockey pick. And I went, you know what? Maybe I'll just bet hockey tonight. So then I took my day off and just started betting hockey, which is ridiculous.
Right.
And I had some of these games. These first periods were electric. I'm like, we going 3-0 in the hockey? We had to fight for our lives to work a 1-2 night on the board. I mean, it was an absolute dogfight, Dave, to get there. So based on that, I mean, this game might not have another goal in it. 5.5 bettors might end up, seeing the window. I don't know.
Oh, man, that would be something. If the 5.5 gets there, that's one of the best wins in a long time for anybody with the under. Yes. I don't think it does. I think we get more goals. I don't know if we get 10, but I think
fair enough.
We get at least 7. So we got more goals coming. You were back in Queens. Did you go back to the neighborhood? Did you get some pizza and do all that stuff? Is that what it was?
This was it was for like the brother's birthday. This was mid-December. So that's when that was.
All right.
So I was here. Yesterday was actually my birthday. So we were at the Prudential Center. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I know you didn't because I know otherwise you would have texted. It's no worries. Appreciated it. The wrestling was in Jersey. Had to go. All right, 5.5 bettors are done. 6.5 alt bettors done as well. Wow. Crazy game.
Wow.
A lot of juice. Oh, no. Penguins scored, so 6.5 bettors life. I thought it was 3 all. All right, fair enough. All right, holding on by a thread. That's early, man. That's early. Did you care that Bedard made his... Does Connor Bedard care he's debuting in the Garden? Does that matter to hockey players?
I think when the Rangers are good, yes. When the Rangers aren't good, no. But the Rangers are good. This is one of those teams, and I'm not just saying it because Jack's here helping out, and Jack helps out and does all the work behind the scenes for in-game live later usually. The Rangers are one of the top teams. I got guys, my hockey guys, telling me, start looking at those exactas, Dave. This might be the year the Rangers actually get to the Stanley Cup Finals. So, yes,
Buddy,
I think when you make the debut in the Garden against a good Ranger team, yes, it means something.
I got a good one for you. I got a buddy. Diehard Ranger fan, also likes Duke. So he said, look, I'm taking any free bets I get. Duke national title, Rangers Cup, parlay. Anything I get. And then Duke was hitting those little sputters. He's like, this team's terrible. I hate this team. They're ruining my Rangers. I absolutely, that's all I can think of. I absolutely love it. Let me handle this with you just because we just talked about it with Ranieri. We can get into some of the lines and stuff. The incentives. I don't know. I try and be self-aware, and somewhere along the lines, I did turn there are certain aspects where I'm a bit of a curmudgeon. And the incentive stuff bothers me.
Huh.
I don't know. I don't know why. Like, I don't see the incentive stuff and go, let's attack it. I'm like, I hope it all loses. And I mean, that's it. I don't know. But here's my thing.
Yeah.
And this is what Ranieri said, and I think this has got to be well known. The guy on Twitter tweeting out, hey, Hopkins needs 50 yards. The guys in the room are not like, hey, man, what do you think? Hopkins today, 47 and a half? Like, they also know Hopkins needs whatever you want him to get. They know it.
Yeah. This is, I feel like you just came into the room. I've always wanted you in the room, but I feel like you just came in a room listening to you get a little curmudgeon-like, get a little bit like, I hope it all loses, because it's annoying. It's jumped the shark, to use a term that, you know, because you have a little bit of an old soul, but a lot of the kids have no idea what we're talking about. It's too late. The value has been completely sucked out of it like a brand new vacuum cleaner would. You know what I'm saying? If you got a brand new vacuum cleaner and you used it, it would get it all out. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
It would
No,
be
I got
one of
you.
those
Took
things.
me a
You know, I'm
bounce.
just saying, if
It
you
took
got
me a
vacuum
bounce.
cleaner
I'm
for
trying to
holidays-
calculate North Carolina totals, and that took me a second, but I got on the second one. All right, keep going.
Yeah.
All right, keep going. All right, keep going.
You got
You're on fire.
to look at them, I think, with a grain of salt. And the book guys now,
Yeah.
no one ever used to look at them. And say like 4 years ago, like the year before the COVID and all this other stuff, there was real value and there was real opportunity when player props became more prevalent. Now, if a guy needs 47, guess what his total is? It's like 60.
60?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a plus. There's a plus tax on all of it. If they know you're going to bet over, book guys go, okay, we used to get killed on these things. Now we're not going to get killed. We're going to try to get some action the other way. And what we're going to do is they may hit the incentive, but they may not hit the bet. So I'm with you. It's going to happen, K-Dub. You're in the business and you're actually living the life. You're going to get curmudgeon like with a lot of things. Next will be the draft. The draft betting, you're going to go, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? We'll worry about that at a different time, but I couldn't agree more with you. I interested to listen to about it, and I think it makes for interesting content. But I think we can use it to handicap the game better. That's all I'm interested in.
And again, I'm not like it is valuable information, right? I just think at times it lacks, to your point, context, right? Because so let's just say player A, B, C, and D all need 70 receiving yards, right? Or let's say they all need 50, right? So then the book makes every guy's prop 65 and a half. So then you know what we'll do? We'll parlay them. Well, guess what happens? 3-1, and you get it goes wrong. So I just think that's kind of where it is. I get it. I'm not saying there's not value to it, but it is not as straightforward as DeAndre Hopkins needs 7 catches. And the Tennessee Titans are trying to ruin the Jaguars' season. I'm not sure if Mike Vrabel says, all right, listen, first 7 plays, throw the ball to Hopkins. Because because also, again, hey, you know what? We had 5 wins this year. You know what we need to do? Make sure we give Hopkins an extra $1 million. Why? You got into an argument. I saw that with Will Levis. Like, do we really care about? You know what? I might not play Hopkins. I go limited snap count maybe if I'm Mike Vrabel.
Right.
So again, that's just context, and more context there. With the NFL, though, and again, kind of all these lines are. I imagine, and this is still a lesson I think at times I'm learning, admittedly, that the line of Pittsburgh -4 is not the books are telling you the Steelers are 4-point bettors. They have been pushed to make the line -4 because that's all anybody keeps doing is betting Pittsburgh.
Correct.
Well, again, because then you always ask this question, well, who's betting Ravens? I now feel like I always end up the answer to that question. I'm betting Ravens. There's no way I'm not betting Ravens +4. You got to be kidding me.
Same exact thinking. The dog in this game is 12-0 in their last 12 meetings, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Context, no context, playing nobody, not playing nobody. Huntley's playing. He's a capable backup. Steelers don't
Pro Bowler.
score a lot of points. Now, they have looked much better since Rudolph's been under center.
Wow.
Steelers are going to win the game. They're going to win by 3. You already know. You already know the way this is going to go. No one's showing their hand because when you're waiting to bet the Ravens, you're waiting to get the highest number you can. I don't think we're there yet. I think we'll get a 4.5. That'll pop. You're not getting a 5, K-Dub. So if you see a 4.5, grab it while you can. We get an ugly football game. Bad weather, apparently. Under 17-14 or 20-17. Pittsburgh wins. Lives to see Sunday, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs the way it's going to play out. I hope they do. I hope they do.
And I know you do. But can I also just say this? Right? This is where the Steelers are using their third-string quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know he has played better in this little run here than Pickett had and obviously Trubisky. Mike McDonald has been so good for Baltimore, their defensive coordinator, that in an age where typically it's like, hey, you got to get an offensive guy, got to get an offensive guy. Everybody watches the McDonald defense and goes, let me tell you right now, this guy's a surefire hire this cycle.
Yes.
He's still in charge.
Yes.
He's still in charge. And I don't know. And maybe, yes, there is a part of me that wants Baltimore to beat Pittsburgh because I don't want the Steelers in the playoffs. And as a preseason Buffalo Bills Super Bowl prediction, I'd rather their season not be on the line Sunday, even if I think they can win the game. I'd rather that not be the case. Right? So, but I just, Pittsburgh is not the type of team where I go, sign, seal, delivered. I mean, come on now. I mean, they're going to walk this thing. No. I'm hearing conversations around Pittsburgh like they're booked like a 9-point favorite. The line's full. Again, like you said, it's Ravens, Steelers, too. What are we doing here? There aren't that many real rivalries in football, in the NFL, because everybody matters. It kind of. On a year-to-year basis, it feels like everybody matters. Ravens, Steelers is the real deal, right?
No question.
And the idea that Harbaugh's like, hey, Mike, would love to see you in the playoffs. And now, I did see, by the way, the idea of if you're Baltimore, wouldn't it be smart to lose to open the door for Buffalo to fall out? Now, that's fair. But I don't think that's how the Ravens operate.
Road's going through Baltimore. They know they got to beat everybody that comes. At least they're coming to their house. They're going to play. I think they're going to give you an honest effort, especially on defense. Sometimes in these games when one team needs it and one team doesn't, you got to bet on the better defense.
I like it. All right, Dave, good stuff. We will close it out with a best bet next.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices. And we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
56% is really good. Anything close to 60 is retirement level stuff. So there's way more people on the lower side of that. You have to learn how to manage that. This is a game of give and take. I mean, or come in quick and hit them and get out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back,
the irony.
I am disappointed that they lost to FAU. because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina, we've got new sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Well, they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College football today.
The Hawks team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro football today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all
You see
access.
it in the NFC in terms of these wild cards and in terms of the playoff picture.
In-game live, prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense here.
In-game live, overtime.
You want to give the over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. That's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Great stuff there from Dave Sharapan. As we get set to close out Game Time decisions, you'll be able to catch Dave on In-Game Live tonight with Joe Ranieri, so make sure you stay tuned here on the grid. I'm Kevin Walsh, and again, we're closing out Game Time decisions. What are we going to do? We're going to give people the best bet. Best college game of the night? I would listen to an argument the best basketball game overall. Arizona, Colorado, the Wildcats, a 12.5-point home favorite in some Pac-12 play. Give me the sophomore point guard, Kylan Boswell, over 17.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Boswell, step one, be at home. He averages nearly 6 more points per game at home than on the road. At home, he's averaging, if you round up, 13, 5, and 3 at home. That gets you well over the PRA before you even added rebounds into the equation. And Boswell has hit this number in 5 out of 6, what I would label big games. 5 ranked teams, and then Alabama. Bama's not ranked. Trust me, that was a big game. And while Colorado isn't ranked, it's a big game tonight. That is an 11-2 basketball team that is top 25 in KenPom. And Arizona is coming off of an 18-point drubbing at the hands of Stanford, where they allowed 100 points. Boswell will have plenty of opportunity tonight because while Arizona's defense is going to want to step up a bit because of the last game, your total tonight is still 159. And the expectation is Arizona will do a lot of heavy lifting on that number. Give me Kylan Boswell over 17.5 points, rebounds, and assists. The other basketball pick we have tonight that has not yet started is Nikola Jokic over 25.5 points against the Golden State Warriors. Great spot for Joker tonight, as the Warriors will not have an answer for him on the interior. Let's get another 18 free throws tonight, Nikola Jokic. I'm Kevin Walsh. This is Game Time Decisions on a Thursday night. Appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you next time.